spent enough time in Chico the last little bit, I will pay you some respect. I usually ask who's been to Alaska, but I know there's going to be a lot of hands raised. And then I would ask, if I was elsewhere, I'd say, who's been to Alaska in the winter, and the hands would go down. But I know the folks that I've been talking to, their hands would stay up. It means I cannot tell certain kinds of stories here tonight. But let's see, I'm not from Alaska originally. I moved there in 1985. I moved to Fairbanks. I think of myself as a Fairbanks guy. Whenever I play this fiddle tune called Old Joe Clark, I always feel like I'm back off Farmers Loop Road in Fairbanks. If you know that part of the world, God bless us all. So we're going to start playing Old Joe Clark, and then we'll take it from there. This is one of them right up here. Ken Waldman, I got Willi Carlisle playing the banjo. He's from Arkansas. This is 24 hours, his first time ever in California. That's a miracle in itself. It's kind of a tough act to follow. His first time on stage, just showing up. He's getting applause. Next to Willi, coming down from near Ashland, Oregon, is Kevin Carr playing the fiddle. Miracle that we're all together. Coming down the hill from Paradise, California is Sourdough Slim. On my far right, your left, also coming down from Paradise is Gordy Ohliger, the Banjo-ologist. If you don't recognize who I am, I'm the guy without a hat. The wild man who is no hat. Another miracle, the fact that I am here doing this. Anybody, I was at Oshawa Learning Center today, Ollie, and mentioned one of the things about Alaska, which is amazing, is I moved there in 1985. I was 29, turning 30, could barely play the fiddle, had never written a poem in my life. And 10 years later, I was calling myself Alaska's fiddling poet. Self-proclaimed, but that's what I was able to learn to play fiddle. I started writing poems. You can do anything in Alaska. So big, more than 3 times the size of California, but only 750,000 people. I moved there, and I did tell this story earlier that within a month, I wanted to teach writing in a prison. I was teaching writing in prison. I wanted to have a radio show. Within 6 months, I had a radio show. I started writing poems. I became a decent fiddle player. The one thing I could never do, could never find a girlfriend up there. Sad, sad story. I lived in a cabin with no running water. Maybe that was why, but the women up there had a famous line, because there were so many men and not so many women. They say the odds are good, but the goods are odd. That was their famous line. But we'll start playing that Old Joe Clark. once more. Gets us started. We'll have a few miracles tonight. I'm so happy to have Kevin Carr here. I remember meeting Kevin, I think it was right before I moved to Fairbanks in 1985. There's a festival in Port Townsend, Washington called the Festival of American Fiddle Tunes. And I remember Kevin playing with his twin fiddler, a fellow named Ray Burrell. He's in a band, he's in a number of bands. If you've ever heard of a band called Wake the Dead, he's the fiddle player in that band. But before that, I mean, there's other things before that, but he was in a band called the Hillbillies from Mars. Yeah. And I remember Kevin and Ray playing twin fiddles to a tune called Sandy Boys. And I think if I could ever play like that. So I'm going to actually, not that I'm going to do a Ray Burrell impression, but we're going to play a tune, we're going to play Sandy Boys, and there's going to be a poem, and at some point Willi's going to join us, but we're going to do some twin fiddles. I should do a poem called Old Time Fiddle Lesson. And one thing, though, before I do the poem, there's lots of ways of learning. I learned about that in Alaska. Right now, you're going to get a bit of a fiddle lesson. Listen to Kevin or watch Kevin. Or, if you're poetically inclined, you can hear this poem, and some of it has to do with Alaska. Old time fiddle lesson. To learn, lock yourself and your fiddle in a room all winter and practice till you play with a twisty, heartfelt, rhythmic punch that approaches trance. Now, fiddling is not technical repetition anyone can master. The sound you make once you know in the blood you clog with your fingers, while that old devil music dances inside the box. Actually, you know, a little editorializing, the harmonica is known as the poor man's fiddle. When three fiddlers sit with a banjo player and guitar, some chairs tight in a closed little ring, no matter what you've been taught, no matter your ear, know when musicians bob and sway and shake like a flood of sound damned in a seat? Listen well. You'll hear moonshine and mountain joined at the peak, crooked creek crashing its banks, quick twist of hind leg catching brush, and a leathery old rattler slithering beneath. Once more. That was your fiddle lesson for the evening. It helps to be up there for the long winter. It's a good thing to be doing. I'm going to get Willi to be up here with his banjo. You're going to get a banjo lesson now. I mean, we're at an education institute here, California State Chico, so it's like, why not only be entertained and be amazed that the four gentlemen with hats and one guy without have gotten together to do this, but going to learn a little bit about Alaska, except I talked to some of you already know a bit about Alaska, but a fiddle lesson and a banjo lesson. So you want to start playing that Greasy Coat? A little story about this tune. I don't play much banjo, but I played this the last couple days. Stephen Cummins was saying I was at elementary schools. I was at Neil Dow Elementary today. I was at Little Chico Creek yesterday. And this has words that I will sing here, but I didn't sing those words at those elementary schools because I would have been in, the kids would appreciate it. I would have been in TROUBLE. Would not have been great for Chico performances. This is the B part. When I get to the A part, I'll sing it again. Here's what this is an old West Virginia tune. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't wear no greasy coat. That wouldn't have gone too well with the elementary schools. But I'll tell you what I did sing at the elementary schools. I don't wink and I don't joke and I don't pet no billy goat. That's what I sang, and it went over great. In the meantime, though, and I'll tell you a little story about my singing in a bit, because that's another miracle. But here you're going to get a banjo lesson. Isn't that banjo sound great? Why are there banjo jokes? Poem's called Learning Banjo. Right hand scrunched tight into a claw, thumb out like you need a lift. Knock the far first wire with the right forefinger's nail and knock again, brushing strings. Meaty stub of a thumb following to pick, a short near high G. And then, you go bump titty, tick-tock of an old pocket watch going loco. Pull off a fret with your left ring finger, hammering on your blood like raw whiskey bubbling in a still. You sit yourself outside on the front porch to twang. Strung long neck drum. You're one day frail, fast as fishtails in wild and drunk time. For cross-tuned and wrecked, old time Alaska fiddlers. Banjo lesson. And you're gonna get a lesson in perseverance now, because when I didn't grow up in Alaska, I didn't grow up in California. I grew up way east, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. In elementary school, there was a choir, and they put me in the speaking choir. Do you know what that means? That means I was already noticed not to contaminate the real singers. They put him in the speaking choir with the rest of the ones who couldn't sing. So I grew up not singing. Fast forward to my mid-20s when I started playing fiddle in right around Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, if you've been in that part of the world. And I started playing the fiddle, and at the time I had a job waiting tables at the kind of restaurant that there are some of these in Chico that are nice places to eat with good food where you might go on a birthday. I waited tables. You know how on a birthday the staff sings happy birthday at a restaurant? I was banned from singing happy birthday. You go cut desserts. You're going to ruin our tips. But I had the fiddle. I kept at it. I went from Carborough and Hillsborough were the towns by Chapel Hill where I lived. I moved to Seattle, then I moved to Fairbanks, Alaska, where I learned that you can do anything in Fairbanks. Like I said, could teach writing in the prison, could start writing poetry, could have a radio show. I lived in my cabin with no running water. Not that I could sing, but if I could play the fiddle. In fact, I didn't tell this story since I've been to Chico, but my old housemate in North Carolina, when I started playing the fiddle, he said, "Ken, you're scaring the cats. Quit scaring the cats. Put that thing away." Years later, and I'll see him in the next few weeks in this month. He lives in Portland, Oregon. Ned Leaguer, he gave me my greatest compliment as a fiddle player, which is, he said, "Ken, you ought to start painting." I said, "Ned?" He said, "Ken, if you learn to play the fiddle, you could learn to paint too. You might as well start painting." I think that is the greatest compliment I ever had. But anyway, getting on back to this story is that up in Alaska, I felt like, well, why not? I can sing. So here I am actually in Harlan Adams Theater singing with, I mean, there have been great singers on this, and yet here, and Willi can sing, and Kevin can sing, and Gordy, and Sourdough Slim, they can sing. Anyway, I'll shut up and sing it another time or two and get on with this. Just the fact that I'm doing it is amazing. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't wear no greasy coat. I don't chew, and I don't go with the girls who do. Last time. Go. Well, get your guitar, Willie, and I'm going to get another instrument myself. For the folks who I talked to out in the front, where I had the merchandise table, I apologize. I was running a little bit late, because I usually like to have my mandolin and kind of welcome everybody and serenade them, but I'll serenade you here with a waltz. This is, there's a little story with this, and this is for everybody who here likes a party. I hope this is everybody. So everybody who likes a party, this waltz is for them, and for a special bonus, anybody who is a late bloomer. I'll tell you how late blooming I am. I'm the Alaskan fiddling poet, but I got my undergraduate degree in business from Duke University, so I became a late bloomer in that way. But anyway, here comes, this is a waltz I made up called the Fairbanks Cabin Waltz. There's a little bit of a story, so Willie's going to get some practice on this. Wondered what that has to do with a party or late blooming. Got my business degree from Duke University in my early 20s and knew I didn't want to go into business in that way. I spent my 20s driving around, kind of what I do now. I drive around, but I hadn't started playing fiddle yet. I had grown up playing tennis. I was teaching tennis for a living in various places. I worked in a few shops, including a bookstore in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I waited tables. Thought I should be writing because I was reading so much. I had written a few short stories, but I was kind of stuck. I bought a van. I didn't know where I'd end up. And it wasn't Alaska, but it was Seattle, Washington. And in a year in Seattle, I wrote a story that said, I wonder, I think maybe I'm a writer now. And I applied to writing school in Fairbanks, Alaska, because once you're in Seattle, if you want to go further, I guess there's Port Townsend and Bellingham, but there's really Alaska if you want to go further in the United States. I applied and got in, and by God, at the end of every semester in graduate school, every class, there was a party, which we didn't do that in Durham and Duke University business major. We didn't have parties like that. And that got me thinking that if I ever was a college professor, we would always have a party at the end of the semester. So I finished in Fairbanks, and I wasn't ready to leave Alaska. I lived in Juneau a year, Sitka for a year, where I was a visiting assistant professor, but I'll skip over that because I then got a job teaching writing in Nome, Alaska. Nome is on the Bering Sea coast. It is a far place. It's 2,500 people. And I taught over telephone. Nome is the biggest thing in that region. And there are 15 villages where most of the students, I taught a couple statewide writing classes, but I taught over the phone, which was a challenge for having a class party. But I was up for that challenge. I'm going to actually I'm going to recite. I've been reciting. At some point I might read a poem tonight, but I'll recite the poem. Class Party Nome. There were 14 people, 8 sites, the semester's final meeting. From the Nome classroom, I called attendance, kicked off festivities by picking an Irish jig, a reel, a New England hornpipe on mandolin. 2 young women, exchange students from Magadan, warbled folk songs in Russian. Next, the 3 guys from prison acted the courtroom drama they'd scripted. It was called Appeal to God. From the village of Wales, Vince blew his harmonica, strummed guitar, and sang Woody Guthrie. From the Unalakleet Baptist Church, Loretta played Bach. From Koyuk, Polly told the story her grandfather told on his deathbed, and so on, till Tammy from Nome counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now eat. And asked everybody everywhere to reach for the cookies she'd mailed late last week and munch. It was probably Huey from jail who hammed the comic smacking noises. And I closed by fiddling the waltz in D I'd written for those who had dropped, who had earlier dismissed themselves. And I had a brilliant student. We had basically a talent show, and one student's talent was thinking ahead, being brilliant, baking cookies. And you got to realize that from Nome, there's not a road system. If you want to go from Chico to Red Bluff, you got to get in an airplane. It's like everything is like an airplane ride away. And so she just had everybody's addresses, baked cookies, mailed them with the instructions to bring them to class. So imagine having being in Chico and having some folks up there, the folks who are living in paradise these days, and in Red Bluff, and in Winters, anywhere else, that we're all eating cookies at the same time. That's what a party was like in Nome. So that was nice. I'm going to actually get out my fiddle and play this with Willi if I could, with the fiddle. Practice on this one. Once more. Fairbanks Cabin Waltz. It's Willi Carlisle on the guitar, formerly on the banjo. And in the spirit of that class party in Nome, we have not only a lot of talent on stage. There's Willi and Kevin and Sourdough Slim and Gordy, but I have a special guest, a student from Cal State Chico, is going to come up and share a couple of poems she wrote. Somebody I just met yesterday for the first time, and generously said she would come and read a couple poems. And what can I say? I'm here, and I'm so glad to be here, but I know where I'm at. In Butte County, in Chico, and also knowing what the community has been going through the last months. So I'm going to invite Kathy Steenson, who's a student here at the university, and she's going to read a couple poems.
Talk about a late bloomer. I graduate in December. About 6 years ago, I met a man named John Sedgwick in Paradise. I had just become the volunteer editor for the Tales of the Paradise Ridge, which was put out by the museum in Paradise twice a year. John was full of old stories about the ridge. He was born and raised there. And I started working with him, and just about every other edition, we had a John story in there. He unfortunately died in the fire. He had become a good family friend. So I wrote this for him, and there's actually two. One follows the other, and it's still about John. Dear John, dear sweet John, such a good friend. We worked well together, didn't we? Your tales of life on the ridge from long ago inspired many readers. I was your biggest fan. You were a little rough around the edges, but that only enhanced your stories. Riding the rails, swinging an axe, building shelter, watching Magalia and Paradise grow up around you. A lifelong Ridgeite, not many of them left, and now even fewer. Jeans and flannel shirt, a hat on your head, graveling voice, and a face to match. I will miss your snow-white beard, the toot of your horn every Sunday morning on your way to church. It was nice when you stopped by, unannounced, just to say hi, sit with Ian a while, and tell him a story. The boots that you would not wear inside, never a swear word from your lips, not a bad word on your fellow man. I wanted to write more of your stories, now gone forever. You said you had a box of old letters between notables of the area long ago. You were to entrust them to me someday. You knew I would treat them right. I hope you were sound asleep when the flames hit that old house by the old Magalia Railroad Station. God was calling your name. You willingly listened and went on your way. You are where you wanted to be by now. No more pain, no more cold, no more waiting. Age 84 was enough for you. You'd lived and loved so well. God will enjoy your stories now. Keep him on the edge of his throne. Make him laugh. Astonish him as you did all of us. I will see you one of these days and will delight once again at the sound of your voice and a tale of the Paradise Ridge. The letters. John, you had an old box of letters, you said. Very old ones you wanted me to have. No one else to entrust them to, you said. You will take care of them. You will respect them. They contained people's words from long ago, you said. A treasure chest of history. Do as you wish with them. Write a story, you said. You will take care of them. You will respect them. I will drop them off at your house, you said, one of these days when I remember. Share their tales. You will know what to do, you said. You will take care of them. You will respect them. Research the people. They lived on the ridge, you said. They came here on horses, carts, stages, and trains. Some became rich. Some remained poor, you said. You will take care of them. You will respect them. November 8th, 2018 came and went with the wind. Flumes and fireballs, smoke and smashing trees. Your letters, still in their box, went the way of your home, smothered. I can never take care of your letters now. I can never respect them, ever. Worse, I can never talk again with you. You will never stop by again to say hi. As so went the letters and their box, so went you.
Kathy Steenson, student here. I got to meet in the class that I visited. And once again, in the spirit of that party, I'm going to have Sourdough Slim come on out. I don't know what he will do, but he's here.
My window faces the south. I'm almost halfway to heaven. Snow is falling, but all I see are fields of cotton smiling at me. My window faces the south, and though I'm far from the Swanee, I'm never frowning or down in the mouth. My window faces the south. My window faces the south. I'm almost halfway to heaven. Snow is falling, but all I see are fields of cotton smiling at me. My window faces the south. I'm far from the Swanee. I'm never frowning or down in the mouth. My window faces the south. Oh yeah, my window faces the south. My window faces the south. Oh, thank you, thank you. I had a dream last night. I thought my good gal had gone. When I woke up this morning, she had really done me wrong. Well, I know it's not fair, but my good gal's done caught air. My gal's been fooling around about a week, I know. Several of my friends just told me so and so. Well, she found a new man, now I can understand. I'm going away, leaving today, gonna bring my baby back. If that eight-wheel driver don't jump that railroad track, I take her from that man, I bring her home if I can. De-yoodle-dee, da-dee-dee, de-yoodle-doo. It's true, my baby's gone. I know it won't be long. We'll both be on that train. My baby's coming home again. Well, she was fooling around, but now she done put him down. That's why I'm going away, leaving today. Gonna bring my baby back. If that eight-wheel driver don't jump that railroad track, I take her from that man, I bring her home if I can. Yeah, I take her from that man, I bring her home if I can. De-yoodle-dee, da-dee-dee, de-yoodle-dee. Thank you, friends. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Thank you, campfire survivors of Butte County. My family and I have made Paradise our home for 27 years now, and I have to say I'm very, very proud of my neighbors and my community and the resilience and the strength that we've all shown under these very trying times. I think we deserve a big hand. What do you say? Yeah, it's not easy. Well, trying to make a go of it as an accordion-playing, yodeling cowboy in the 21st century is not that easy either, I'll tell you. It's very misunderstood, I think. You know, in today's corporate world, who do you think's the first to go? Huh? Accordion-playing, yodeling cowboy, that's who, huh? We don't need that guy. What's he doing hanging around the water cooler, huh? Get rid of him. Dead weight. I hate to bring this up, but, you know, this accordion has been into the pawnbrokers so many times, he can play the thing better than I can. Oh, yeah, I'm taking lessons from him. Well, I'm kind of known for my cowboy yodeling, and I noticed that the media kind of played upon that a little bit, and I actually have it under good authority. Some of you folks have actually stopped by the show tonight, hoping upon hope to hear some cowboy yodeling, huh? Am I right? Huh? Listen to that. They're making it plain. They want the yodeling. They know the good stuff. They paid the big bucks to get in. Now they're going to get it. Big time. In fact, if you like yodeling, you're going to love this next one because it was actually written and recorded by one of the greatest yodeling cowboys of all time. I wrote it. Oh, yeah. One entitled, I'm Going Back to Where I Come From. I'm going back where I come from. I hear them hills are calling me. My bags are packed, I'm leaving in the morning. Hallelujah, I shout hooray. Oh, what a day for rejoicing. I know I never more will roam. Yeah, I'm going back where I come from. Oh, that's a place that I'll call home. Yodeling, idle. Hoodly, 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 hoodly. I'm going back where I come from. I'll leave my worries far behind. My bags are packed, I'm leaving in the morning. I got to find some peace of mind. What a day for rejoicing. I know I never more will roam. Yeah, I'm going back where I come from. That's a place that I'll call home. Yodeling, idly, yodeling, 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 absolutely wild. Chaos. Had $20 bills flying on stage at this $10, $1 bill showering my feet at this 50 cents quarter. Huh? You got a nickel? I'm just kidding. I'm just joshing with you. Their glorious reception is bounty enough for me.
Is it the yodeling or is it the hat?
Yeah. I don't need the money. That's right. When you look at me, you can tell I'm loaded. That's right.
Sourdough Slim?
Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ken.
Proud resident of Paradise, California, and actually coming up, Gordy Ohliger, part of the class party part of the show. Someone invite Gordy Ohliger up to stage here.
Well, hello there, folks. Hello. As you can see, I'm over here in the banjo part of the orchestra. And there was a time in this world when there were no banjos, and so the universe decided that needed to be adjusted. And if you wanted a banjo back in the early 1800s, like the 1820s or 30s, well, you had to make one yourself. You go out to the garden and you get yourself a pumpkin, you know, a big squash, and you get a stick and you shove it right through there, and you dry it in the sun. You have to turn it in the sun so it won't rot. And then you get a couple more, get 5 more sticks and poke them in there. Oh, and you also need a goat if you want to play the banjo. So after the goat barbecue, you get the skin and you put it over the pumpkin there. So now you got a diaphragm and you made yourself a speaker. And these are the wires of the speaker. Not everybody finishes their meal at the barbecue. Sometimes you got extra goat guts left over, and so what you do is you cut those intestines real thin and twist them and make little strings out of the goat guts. See, that was worth coming out tonight. Well, we saw this guy, he was playing goat guts on a pumpkin. It was different. It was different. So I'm going to do an old song from the 1830s. It was popular in the 1730s and the 1630s and the 1530s. It's got kind of an American flavor to it. See, but back in those days, everybody would stop everything at the beginning of the year, and they'd clean the house. They'd just take everything out of the house and clear it all out. And all the young folks and the old folks, they would clean the house with a brand new broom and start the whole new year all over again. That's the preamble. Well, deep in the winter, when there ain't no bloom, we clean house with a brand new broom. Put all your hands, then we're in the ring. Here's a song we all sing. Clear the kitchen now. Clear the kitchen. Oh, now territory folks, they never tire. Well, I got to the river and I couldn't get across. We'll pay $5 for an old blind horse. Well, it wouldn't go forward and it wouldn't stand still. Just up and down like an old sawmill. Sing, clear the kitchen. Well, clear the kitchen now. Now clear the kitchen. Oh, now territory folks, they never tire. They dance all night and they eat all day. Well, I got to about riding and I couldn't get across. Broke my wagon and it killed my horse. Well, I pulled my knife and I got him skinned. He jumped right up, so I rode him again. Say, clear the kitchen. Well, clear the kitchen with the young folks, old folks. Clear the kitchen with the young folks, old folks. Oh, no, California folks, they never tired. Well, frost on the pumpkin and the corn is gray. Well, got my firewood stacked away. Well, cider on the corner, I sit by the hearth. I'm just the happiest man on earth. Clear the kitchen, young folks, old folks. Clear the kitchen with the young folks, old folks. Clear the kitchen with the young folks, old folks. Oh, now tell the old folks they never tired. They dance all night and they eat all day. That's also what you call a crooked song. You notice that there's these spaces between the verses and stuff that it's not standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that was in the old days, in the 1830s and the 40s, they called that a crooked. They call it a crooked song, you know. And you know, like the crooked man in the crooked house singing the crooked song. Let's see. So as you can see, the banjos started to get fancier here. You go on up a century or go back a century. And this is one made around 1923, so it's only appropriate. I'll just hold it while it plays a song from 1923. And this is a style that you don't really hear anymore. It's kind of lost or gone away. And I learned it from some old guys when I was a little boy, and now I'm an old guy, so here we go. Every time I do this song, I always think of my grandma. In 1923, she had a 4-year-old boy, who was my dad, and so every time I think of this song, I think of my grandma. It's a different style, so this may upset you. Oh. That's okay. Evening, I will wait for you when the shadows fall and the sun's in the west. Evening, day's work is through and the world is at rest. Flowers droop their heads, how they go to bed when the world is at rest. Little fireflies fly up and light the skies when the world is at rest. Night birds coo and call, moon and stars do crawl. Stars tumble and fall. Bees are in the home, it's a honey-covered home when the world is at rest. There's a love refrain from Lover's Lane when the world is at rest. I got my own blue heaven, lover's nest. I'm in heaven there with my angel fair when the world is at rest. I got my own little heaven, a flowered nest. I'm in heaven there with my love affair when the world is at rest. Well, now you know where the hard part was. Well, I'm going to just do a little something that may sound familiar to you. Actually, there's a part of this song that sounds familiar, and other parts of the song which I don't know what the heck that guy's doing. And this song's been around for almost 2 centuries. And a fellow once told me that, it don't mean a thing if you don't sing. And, oh, that was me. And so if you get to the part where it sounds familiar, then it's entirely possible that you could sing or hum or sing inside your head. Nobody will know. It'll be okay. This is a song that has been around for a long time, like I said. And it was finally written down and published in 1892. It's in the Library of Congress. This is Gussie Davis's version. So you've heard Leadbelly's version and Leon Russell. All kinds of people have done this one. When I first did spy her on promenade through town, she walked so close to my side, her eyes so soft and brown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene, good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. Oh no, said mother, my daughter is too young. Away with thee, said father, and send me on a run. Here you go. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene, good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. Last week we got married. This week we settled down. Now that we are parted, gonna take a little walk downtown. Irene, good night. Keep it going. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene, good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. One more time. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Thank you. Now you be nice.
Mr. Gordy Ohliger. And with class party, with the talent that we have on stage, we're going to have Kevin Carr come back. And I'm not sure what he's going to do, but he's here, and I know he was wearing a hat.
And that's the main thing. like that sing. I like that I heard you singing along, so I just had this thought. A little old Irish dance hall song. I'll sing it. You'll get the chorus right away, okay? You up for that? Okay. Well, I once was well acquainted with a man named Mr. Dunn. Quite a jovial chap was he, and full of harmless fun. Well, he courted well and he married well at the age of 21. And soon a long big family had Mr. and Mrs. Dunn. For there was high Dun and low Dun, over Dun and under Dun, all the little younger Duns in and out the run. There was old Dun and young Dun's younger son. Young Dun will be a Dun when the old Dun's done. Have you got it? That's your part. Now, in the course of time, old Dun, he got himself a wife, and soon he found out that he had the hardest time of life. For to keep 3 little bellies full and a wife that weighed 12 stone, well, any man that could do that, you had to say, well, perfect. For there was high Dun and low Dun, over Dun and under Dun, all the little younger Duns in and out the run. There was old Dun, we're flagging, and young Dun, and young Dun's younger son. Young Dun will be a Dun when the old Dun's. Ha ha! Now when Mrs. Dunn presented Dun with their first bouncing son, they named him Herbert Duncan Dunn, but called him Cherry Bun. And when as thick as hops they run, and many more to come, says Mrs. Dunn to Mr. Dunn, more bread or will be. For there was high Dun and low Dun, over Dun and under Dun, all the little younger Duns in and out the run. There was old Dun and young Dun's younger son. Young Dun will be a Dun when the old Dun's done. So here's a health to the eldest Dun, likewise to the late. Here's a health to the eldest Dun, likewise to the youngest Dun. Let's hope the youngest Dun is done as the eldest Dun is done, for any Dun to be a Dun and not a vacant one. What's done, my Dun, must be well done, so well done, good old. For there was high Dun and low Dun, over Dun and under Dun, all the little younger Duns in and out the run. There was old Dun and young Dun's younger son. Young Dun will be a Dun when the old Dun's. For there was high Dun and low Dun, over Dun and under Dun, all the little younger Duns in and out the run. There was old Dun and young Dun's younger son. Young Dun will be a Dun when the old Dun's. Dun 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 dun. Perfect. I've been incredibly lucky with music, all these weird coincidences and over my life. And my granddad was a storyteller, and he was my first storyteller, and he told me stories when I was a little kid. And he died when I was 8, but I had such a strong memory of him. And when I took up the fiddle, I was down practicing at my mother's house one day, and she came out and she was listening to me. She said, "You know, my dad used to play that tune." I said, "What? He played the fiddle?" She said, "Well, only usually when he was playing for square dances." She said, "What? He played for square dances too?" "Yeah, well, usually he was the caller, and then he'd play along." And so since this was what at that time was what I was devoting my life to, I was gobsmacked, as the Irish say. And so I started trying to learn. I tried to track down his fiddle and trying to learn some of the music, but he came from a part of Pennsylvania where at that time there wasn't a lot of documentation. It was very hard to find out what the tunes were, so I tried to learn some old-time fiddle tunes. And then after a while, that led me to figure out where those come from, and I started learning Irish music. I went to Ireland, got kidnapped by the fairies, and someday I will tell you the whole story. It's true. And I came back, and because of that, I met people, and I met a wonderful man named Bill Jackson, who just a great player, and he taught me a bunch of tunes. And then later on, I said, well, where did the fiddle music come from? Well, it came from bagpipes, so I started learning bagpipes, and I learned Scottish bagpipes, and then I found out there were other bagpipes, and I got this, at home I have a yurt with 35 bagpipes in it. It's as far on our property from the house as you can possibly. My wife's a strong-willed woman. Anyway, so I'm going to play you some fiddle music here for a second, and I'll start out with a tune that when I first heard it, I had to learn it because my granddad used to tell me a story about this wild pig. And turns out pigs and fighting pigs, that's legends that go back to the beginning of the Celtic world, back in thousands of years ago. Anyway, wild pig, then an old Appalachian tune, then I'll slow it down and play a tune that my mentor Bill Jackson taught me called The Coolin'. It's a slow air, Irish slow air, and then something faster. And then I'll tell you another little bitty story and play the bagpipe.
Well, there is a wild hog in these woods, diddle-dum-down, diddle-dum-day. There is a wild hog in these woods, diddle-dum-down today. Well, there is a wild hog in these woods, he eats men's flesh and he drinks men's blood. Hunt him down, catch him if you can. Well, if you would that wild hog see, diddle-dum-down, diddle-dum-day. If you would that wild hog see, diddle-dum-down today. Well, if you would that wild hog see, blow your horn, he'll come to thee. Hunt him down, catch him if you can. Well, the wild hog comes in such a rush, diddle-dum-down, diddle-dum-day. Wild hog comes in such a rush, diddle-dum-down today. The wild hog comes in such a rush, breaks his way through the rocks and the brush. Hunt him down, catch him if you can. Follow that wild hog to his den, diddle-dum-down, diddle-dum-day. Follow that wild hog to his den, diddle-dum-down today. Well, I follow that wild hog to his den, found the bones of 1,000 men. Hunt him down, witch him if you can. Well, I fought that hog with a gun and a knife, diddle-dum-down, diddle-dum-day. Fought that hog with a gun and a knife, diddle-dum-down today. I fought that hog with a gun and a knife, tried to take that wild hog's life. Diddle-dum-down, to catch him if you can.
That one didn't want to go on any longer. Ken and I'll play some other Irish music a little bit later, I think, if we have time. That last tune was called the Coolin', and it was when the Irish managed to conquer, or the English managed to conquer the Irish. They gave a lot of strange rules, and one of them was you couldn't wear this certain kind of haircut, the Coolin', and it symbolized freedom, and so they'd cut your head off if you wore that. And this was one young man who just wouldn't cut his hair, and so he lost his. That was written by his fiancée. You know, we are in a blessed place right today, which is right halfway between last Sundays. How many of you knew that that was International Bagpipe Day? Last Sunday, and next Sunday is St. Patrick's Day, so we're in some kind of holy ground for crazy people. When I was traveling around, I had just read a book that changed my life. It had the clear title, it was Bagpipes. It was about the bagpipes of the world. Because it turns out that Scotland is but one of hundreds of nations that have bagpipes. I mean, every valley had its own, in the old days, every valley had its own kind of bagpipes. Bagpipes from India out to Ireland, from Scandinavia, all through North Africa. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And to my wife's horror, there's 35 of them in my yurt. Anyway, I had just read this book. Somewhere in the book it said there was a bagpipe museum in northern Spain. I was determined to find it. I was traveling in northern Spain with some buddies. We got off in a town called Santiago de Compostela, which is the capital of Galicia, the northwestern province in Spain. And it's an ancient place, and I knew nothing about it except I thought maybe that was where the museum was. I dragged my friends into the old city, and I heard bagpipes. And I ran around the corner, and there was a piper and a drummer, and they were playing, and he was magnificent, in a beautiful costume, and music was so great. And I ran up, and I just said, "Bagpipes." And he looked at me and said, "Where are you from?" I said, "The United States." He said, "Do you know a man named Bruce?" And he imitated Bruce. And I knew Bruce. I said, "I know Bruce." He said, "Here, I have a package of reeds. Take them to Bruce." And then he said, "Come, we go to play." And they went off to play, and everybody put down, all the people just started dancing in the streets. And to this day, I've been back probably 8 or 10 times, and my daughter went to live there. That's as close to a bagpiper's heaven as you will ever find. So I'm going to play a little bit of Galician music for you.
I will say how Butte County meets rural Alaska, but we didn't have anything like that in Nome, in rural Alaska. That is for sure. One thing about rural Alaska in Nome, which was great for my confidence as a fiddle player, because I was the best for 1,000 miles out there. I'm going to get Willi Carlisle to do a couple of, you remember Willi, don't you? So Willi's going to come out. He may do some things he didn't do before, and then we're going to have the home stretch after that. But Willi Carlisle, I think I see him over there.
So I first met Ken when I was 18. And I read his book, one of the ones that's available out there, Are You Famous? And I thought, boy, I'd like to do that. Now I've got a master's degree in poetry, and I've been living on the road playing music for 3 years. Oh, you don't have to do that. I'm just getting in tune. On account of just saying that I had a master's degree to applause, I'll play the dumbest folk song that I know. If grad school teaches you anything, it's that the more often you repeat something that's really dumb, the truer it gets. This is called I'm as free a little bird as I can be. It has a sing-alongular component. If you can handle that, I think it sounds like we can. I say, I'm as free a little bird as I can be. And when I say I can be, you say, I can be. Shall we try that? I'm as free a little bird as I can be. There we go. With verve, with some enthusiasm. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree where them bad boys can't bother me. I won't build my nest in the ground. I won't build my nest in the ground. But I'm gonna build a nest in my sweet darling's breast. Fly all around, all around. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree where them bad boys can't bother me. And I won't build my nest in the air. I won't build my nest in the air. But I'm gonna build a nest in my sweet darling's breast. Fly all around in her hair. 'Cause I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree where them bad boys can't bother. Oh no, they can't bother. Oh no, they can't bother me. Well, folks, I'm sorry that I'm up here so late. If I had been up here earlier, I would have been up here before. I'm going to do an unaccompanied cowboy ballad. I'd like to take this moment to say that I'm not, in fact, an actual cowboy. I'm what they used to call a showbiz cowboy. At almost 300 pounds, I don't get on top of any human or animal that can't say, sure, why not? So I don't get on horses. I'm going to do a song I learned from Steve Cormier, this old cowboy. He's tall and slim and taciturn and just kind of meaner than hell. He was in Breaking Bad as an extra just to leer at the camera. They hired him to do that. So this is called High Tone Dance. It tells the story of a cowboy going into Denver looking for conjugal visitation with what is commonly known as the fairer sex. You make up your own mind. And he finds out that everybody there is a lot richer than he is. So here it is, a high tone dance. Well, you can't expect a cowboy to educate his shanks in etiquette-ish fashion under aristocratic ranks, for he's often been accustomed to shaking heel and toe at them rackling rancher dances where that kind of etiquette, folks, it don't really much go.
So you can bet I had 'em laughing in this awful sort of way. Boy, I had 'em yanking up their squitters in excited sort of play. When I happened into Denver, perchance to take a prance in the snooze and easy measures of a high-toned dance. So when I got amongst those ladies in their frocks so fleecy white, and the dudes topped off in wrappings, boy, they were truly out of sight. I tell you what, folks, I got embarrassed. Oh, I could not help but keep from feeling like a burro in a flock of pretty sheep. And every step I took was awkward. Oh, I blushed so bloomin' red, just like the principal decoration of a turkey gobbler's head. Well, the ladies said was seldom that they'd ever had a chance to see a true old-time puncher at a high-tone dance. So I cut me out a heifer, and I know that you shouldn't call girls heifers, but this song was written in 1901. And it was written by a cowboy, so heifer is ostensibly somewhere closer to his metaphorical Nezpa. And if you're going to sing all these weird old folk songs to a primarily white middle-class audience that consumes and pays for folk songs, and you're going to change the words to make sure that everybody out there is definitely very comfortable within your burying some of the most important things that are coded inside folk songs, which is that they have inside of them many of the problems that are endemic to America, like sexism and racism and colonialism. So I cut me out a heifer from that flock of pretty girls. Oh, I sidled up beside her just to dance that dreamy whirl. Well, she put her arms around me in this loving sort of way. Oh, we drifted into heaven as the band began to play. But I could feel my neck a-burning from her nose's breathing heat. As she do-si-doed around me, she kept stepping on my feet. And she gazed into my squinters with this soul-dissolving glance, quite conducive to the pleasures of a high-toned dance. So when they struck that old cotillion, that music bill of fare, every bit of devil in me seemed to take out on a tear. I let out a cowboy war whoop. Yeah! And I started in a rag. Boy, I cut in with my trotters till the floor began to sag. And my partner, she got seasick. Oh, she stumbled for her seat. So I balanced to the next girl, but she dodged me slick and neat. I tell you what, folks, I pulled the creases off their go-to-meeting pants when I put the cowboy trimmings on that high-toned dance.
Does that qualify as wow? There you go. Well, once again, where Butte County meets rural Alaska, something that if you saw coming back here, if you saw the Chico Performances website where I was at, there was a tune. And it was, I don't know if it was fortunate or unfortunate, but I have a tune. I have a friend named Jack Fontanella who plays the banjo, plays the guitar, plays the stand-up bass, calls dances, he's retired now, first and second grade teacher. And I saw him years ago when we both lived in Fairbanks, but we both lived in Juneau at the same time, our capital. And Jack, if you play this kind of music, I think Gordy, Slim, Kevin, Willi, and myself, we have good days, we have bad days. When you have bad days and you play music, you're gonna feel better. Mainly we're happy, but you have some bad days, you play music, you're happy. And I saw Jack Fontanella in the post office in Juneau, and he was not looking happy. He defined glum. And I said, Jack, how you doing? And he said, not good. I said, not good? He said, yeah. And I hesitate to say this here, but he said, yeah, my house burned down. And Jack, good musician, he and his partner, now his wife, Jenna, they were out. They heard sirens. It was for their place, and they lost virtually everything. He lost his music instruments. And Juneau, Alaska is like Chico, is like Paradise, is like a lot of places that have, I've been here for several days now, and I've met really wonderful people. You know you're a wonderful community. So, in Jack's case, Capital City, this was actually December, into early January with the legislative session. There's no housing in Juneau, but people found Jack and Jenna a place to live within a week. People raised money, had a guitar. What I did, once again, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. A few weeks later, I was leading a writing workshop. And I had this idea of what the instruments sounded like right before they burnt up. I wanted to write something. So I wrote a poem called Burnt Down House for Jack Fontanella. The night of the cabin fire, the midst of cupboards and kitchenware, closets and clothes, when the flames came picking. I like to think how the two guitars, mandolin, banjo, bass, and fiddle might have jumped out of their skins a moment to make the craziest, most raucous caterwauling noise. Enough riotous jabberwock to fuel a dozen generations of old-time string bands before slipping back into maple to smoke hot and right. The instrument's last bright Denali festival of sound. It was a gift for Jack. I gave it to him. He had the poem and he had it on his refrigerator for months. And I saw him as he was remaking his life, as folks here have been, as they can remake their lives in something like that. And then some months later, I said, Jack, I make up fiddle tunes if you want. You like the poem? I'll make up a fiddle tune for you called Burnt Down House. And to this day, I don't know why I didn't say, fiddlin' poet, don't press your luck. But he said, yeah, I'd like a tune. I gave him the big choice in old-time music. I said, key of A or key of D? And he said, key of D. Willi's going to play the banjo with it. We're going to go play Burnt Down House a couple times with it, or 2 or 3 times, and then we're going to, we're on the home stretch here this evening, on quite an evening. Have you ever seen such variety here? That's a scary thought. Burnt Down House. For Jack Fontanella, who has had a great life since, and my hope is that everybody who has been, through this, as time goes on, we're all gonna go, be through this, and be better. I'm gonna get Kevin Carr to come back out. I don't know if he threatened or promised, but St. Patty's Day, we're in that hallowed time this week. So we're going to be on St. Patty's Day. You're going to be playing, or actually on Saturday night, you're going to be playing actually within striking distance of here. Isn't that right?
Yeah, Saturday night we'll be playing with a band called Wake the Dead. It does. It's an Irish band that thinks it's the Grateful Dead. And then on Sunday, be in Medford with my family, playing for 5 hours of grueling St. Patrick's Day duty. Pretty blissful. And Ken City might drop by too.
I may stop by. Yeah, me and Willi are going to be in Weaverville on Thursday night. We're going to be in Arcata on Saturday, and then we're going to be playing in Eugene next Wednesday. And to get from Arcata to Eugene, we can stop through Medford, Oregon, I think. And if it's Sunday, and there's good food there too, I heard.
Yep.
Why don't you start playing that Road to Lisden Varna? And I have a poem that fits. In fact, I wrote this poem in Port Townsend, Washington. It's called Irish Tea. In the juggle of job, geography, child rearing, art, sometimes the only quiet is at the kitchen table. Pot of tea, perhaps a bowl of custard, a visitor. The conversation, a fine visible thread, one or the other occasionally pulls tight, stretches from Ireland to Alaska, culture to creature, mad experience to dizzy present. How to best sow the dream. The question follows the line we daily stitch, the journey inside. On the pot, water steams. Another pot suffices. I'm gonna get my mandolin and play this with Kevin for a time or two, and then I'll let him take off on an Irish medley to get you prepared for your St. Paddy's Day here. Join him on this in a second, but I remember where I was 2 years ago, right before St. Paddy's Day and in St. Paddy's. I was in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Anybody been there? It's a good Western place, and I was in a theater like this, not with Kevin, but with friends of Kevin doing an Irish show for that.
St. Patrick's Day.
If you think you have seen it all, you have not yet. If there's something that has not been done yet tonight, is the novelty of twin accordions.
That's right. That's why they call us the Wild Men. Yeah. Accordions, banjos, and bagpipes. The Wild Men.
Is that a horror movie?
Well, are you ready, Willie?
Ready as I'll
We'll
ever
give
be,
this a
son.
try. This is totally spontaneous. In the key of C. I woke up this morning looking for my shoes. I looked behind the trunk, I found a hesitation blue. The Lord to tell me how long. Will I have to wait? Oh, can I get you now? Must I hesitate? Oh, Sandra, Sandra, give me 209. I want to talk to that gal of mine, Lord, to tell me how long.
Tell me how long
Will I have to wait?
do I have to
Oh,
wait?
can I get you now? Must I hesitate? Oh, take it, Willie. Well, I got a woman, got a sweetheart too. My woman don't love me, but my sweetheart do. Lord, tell me how long.
Tell me how long
Will I have to wait?
will I have to
Oh,
wait?
can I get you now? Must I hesitate? If the river was whiskey, I was a duck. I'd dive to the bottom and never come up. Lord, tell me how long.
Tell me how long
Will I have to wait?
will I have to wait?
Oh, can I get you now? Must I hesitate? Oh, nickel is a nickel, dime is a dime. I need a new gal, mine won't mind. Lord, tell me how long.
Tell me how long
Will I have to wait?
will I have to
Oh,
wait?
can I get you now? Must I hesitate? Go on now. Well, I went to see my gal, wouldn't let me in. Had to have company, I had to come again. Lord, tell me how long.
Tell me how long
Will I have to wait?
will I have to wait?
Can I get you now? Must I hesitate? I'm a-going to the river, rocking chair. Blues overtake me, rock away from there. Lord, tell me how long.
Tell me how long
Will I have to wait?
will I have to wait?
Can I get you now? Must I hesitate? Here we go now. That's Willie.
I know. More twin accordions. I know. So, Slim and I are going to start playing Soldier's Joy, and we're going to get Willie out here and Kevin out here and Gordy out here with Soldier's Joy, and I'll probably hold forth and thank everybody. Before I thank everybody, I'm going to thank you all for coming out instead of doing something else on Tuesday, March 12th. But we'll get the full thank yous, but we'll start playing that Soldier's Joy. What do you think there, Slim?
I think that's a great idea.
You start or I start? How's it go with the Wild
ahead,
Men?
start.
What's that? You should start? sound, there's a fellow named Matt who was involved with the sound. I want to thank him and Rob and all the folks here at State. I think there's Monica up there doing lights. And I can't say enough about Stephen Cummins. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here tonight. And if I wasn't here, these wild men in hats wouldn't have been here. So Stephen and all the folks, Claire and Karen Avis, who has been making sure I've gotten to Neil Dow Elementary and Little Chico Creek and to Ollie and everywhere. I'm actually going to be working with Paradise Intermediate tomorrow, so I'm going to be working, doing that. And Karen has been stellar getting me around. Once again, I've already thanked you all for coming, but on the far right, Mr. Gordy Ohliger, the Banjo-ologist. To his left, your right, that's Sourdough Slim. You ever heard bagpipes like Kevin Carr played? "24 hours in California." Look at Willi Carlisle. He may make a home here. And I have to admit, I was on the radio with Gordy on KZFR, and we were talking about Willi and the idea being that he's going to be spoiled. He's going to come to California and think the rest of the state is as wonderful as Chico. So he's like, his life is now, he has a high bar. And then I'm Ken Waldman, the guy without a hat tonight. I know Gordy has stuff. Kevin's got stuff out there. Willie's got stuff. If you talk to Slim, he may not have stuff, but he can get stuff to you at some point. I got books and some CDs, and I know I'll be happy to talk to you out there, and we'll, I think, be out there also. So thank you all for coming on a Tuesday night in Chico, California, Butte County. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.